Hi, I'm Chef Shalhoub, and we are here today again. I'm going to show you how to make scones. What are scones, you say? They are delicious, decadent biscuits. They're like super biscuits. They have extra sugar, extra butter in there, and some goodies that you could put almost anything. Dried fruit, chocolate chips, white chocolate chips, whatever. But today I'm going to show you how to make cranberry orange scones. The orange part is the orange zest. Really adds a nice little flavor to them. So first of all, you want to make sure that you have all of your equipment ready to go. You have a mixing bowl, measuring cups, liquid, dry measuring cups, a long spatula for leveling off, some measuring spoons, and a fork for mixing, a microplane or a zester, and maybe some portion scoops to help you portion out your scones. Unless you want to, just scoop it out with a spoon. Okay, so now, first of all, I want to do all my dry ingredients, okay? That's the first step. There is an order to this. You don't want to put liquids and dry and everything all mixed up together. You want to do dried ingredients first. It's a very important part in making scones or biscuits. So this is my first cup. And here we go with my second cup, and notice how I use my long spatula to level off the flour. Okay. Alright, my next ingredient then would be 1/4 cup of sugar. Just sprinkle that in. And then I have a teaspoon, 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. I like to use kosher salt. And 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Alright, then I'm just going to take my fork and mix it around. You don't need any special equipment. I mean, if you had a wire whisk, you could use it, but you don't want to mix the wire whisk after you get the butter and the milk in there. It's just not a good idea. So just mix it around with the fork. There you go. Okay, so now the next ingredient is your fat. Now, if you wanted to, you could use margarine. I like to use butter. So I'm just going to put my butter in, and this is a 1/2 stick of butter. If you want your scones to be a lot richer, then I guess you could put more. But remember that the more fat you put in there, the heavier your scone is going to be, and it could end up being gooey. So you don't want it too gooey, you just want it just a little bit rich, not overdo it. So I'm just going to mash it around until I get smaller pieces of the butter. This is what's going to make your scone nice and tender. That's a word that we use in baking when we want to get things with a good mouthfeel and a good texture. We call it tender. Okay, so I just kind of work that butter in there, and you can see that the large pieces are starting to disappear. Okay, that took about a minute, not a problem. Now that I'm finished mixing the butter, I want to add my craisins. This is what I'm using. This is 1/3 cup of craisins. And you don't need too much because you don't want to overdo it. Just kind of mix it in very gently. Okay, that's good enough. All right. Now I want to do my orange zest. And if you have a microplane, that's really great. But, you know, and it really makes it nice. It's a nice, smooth, very fine type of zest. You see how it does that? But if you don't have a microplane, certainly you can use the small side of your box cheese grater or your box grater. This is a large size and this is a smaller one. And just, you know, just do it easy because you don't want to get any of the white part of your peel in there. And I found that with a medium-sized orange, the zest of the whole orange is great. It's more than enough. Alright, just mix that in. Okay, so we are now ready for the very last step. This is very important. Alright, we want to mix in 1 cup of milk, and you can use any kind of milk that you want. You first want to make a well in your batter. Don't splash it on yourself. Okay, so here we go. I am using 2% milk. You can use 1%. If you want to use non-fat, you could, or whole milk. Just 1 cup. Now, this is important. Once you put the milk in, you only want to stir about 10 seconds or 10 stirs. There should be a little bit of flour that you can see. In other words, you don't want to overmix to the point where it's all gooey. You will definitely end up with tough biscuits, tough scones. It's awful. So I'm just pouring it in. Okay. I'm just going to stir. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Uh-oh. Well, I'm going to go over a little bit. Just take a look. You see, notice how it is. It's starting to absorb all the milk. Okay. Well, that was about 10 seconds anyway. And you notice how you can still see some of the flour. That's exactly what you want. You don't want a pasty mess. This is perfect. All right, now I'm going to take my number 30 scoop. I like doing this because especially, you know, when you're having a party, people like to have uniform items to choose from. It just makes it nicer that someone isn't getting the big one and someone's getting a small one. So everybody has the same size of scone. And it's always nice to make sure that you line everything up. It's just some reason when you pull your product out of the oven, it just looks nice to have everything all lined up. For a little extra pizzazz, you can add a little sugar on the top of each scone just before you put it in the oven. This adds a nice little crunch, a little extra sweetness. If you really want to be decadent, you can put some butter with it too. Of course, that's going to make the calories go up. So I'm just going to put the sugar. If you can get a hold of the really large sugar crystals, that would be great too. But regular sugar is fine. And as you can see, for all of these scones, I just barely used a tablespoon for all of them. All right, now we're ready to put them in a screaming hot oven, 425 degrees. Well, here we are. This is what they look like. Looks like they moved around a little bit, but that was some movie magic because I made these a little bit ahead of the time. But let's take a taste. Notice you can see the sugar crystals on top, and it's going to have that nice crunch. And you can see the orange zest inside. Okay, let's take a taste. You get that nice burst of sweet tart flavor from the cranberries and that very mild, subtle orange zest. It's absolutely delicious. Have this with a cup of hot tea. It's wonderful. I hope you enjoy making these at home. Bye.